In less than 50 years, China transformed from a largely agricultural nation into one of the world's primary infrastructure powers. The timeline is shorter than a single human lifetime. The scale is difficult to overstate. In the early 1970s, most Chinese cities were low-rise and spread horizontally. Today, multiple cities contain skylines that rival or exceed the tallest concentrations of buildings anywhere on Earth. Rail networks that once relied on diesel locomotives now operate thousands of miles of dedicated high-speed track. Travel times between major cities have been reduced from days to hours. The change extends beyond cities. Deserts in remote provinces now host solar farms measured in square miles. Mountain ranges are crossed by bridges that sit more than 2,000 feet above river valleys. Coastlines have been extended with artificial islands designed to handle the largest cargo ships in operation. This transformation happened at a pace that most other nations have not attempted. Projects that typically require decades of planning are completed in half that time. Records are broken and then surpassed within a few years. The result is a country where large-scale infrastructure is not the exception. It is the standard approach to development. Shanghai spent most of the 20th century building horizontally. The Bund, a row of neoclassical and Art Deco structures facing the Huangpu River, defined the city's skyline. The tallest point was the Customs House Clock Tower, completed in 1927 at roughly 300 feet. For decades, that remained the limit. Everything changed in the 1990s. The city turned its attention to Pudong, an area across the river that had been largely undeveloped. The signal was deliberate. The Oriental Pearl TV Tower opened in 1994, almost 1,500 feet tall. Its design was futuristic, with pink spheres stacked along concrete columns inspired by classical Chinese poetry. Observation decks offered views that no resident of Shanghai had experienced before. The next phase prioritized height over symbolism. Jinmao Tower was completed in 1999. "88 floors, roughly 1,400 feet. Its tiered form was based on the number 8, traditionally associated with prosperity in Chinese culture. The building fused modern engineering with cultural proportions in a way that set a template for what followed. A decade later, the Shanghai World Financial Center opened directly beside it, 1,600 feet, completed in 2008. Its most recognizable feature is the trapezoidal aperture near the top. Engineered to reduce wind pressure, the design earned it the nickname the bottle opener. At the time of completion, it was the second tallest building in the world. Then came Shanghai Tower, 2,100 feet, 128 floors. Completed in 2015, it remains the tallest building in China and the second tallest in the world. The structure twists as it rises, rotating roughly 120 degrees from base to crown. This is not decorative. The twisting reduces wind load significantly. A double skin facade creates thermal buffers that cut energy consumption. Wind turbines near the top generate power on site. What is notable is not just the height, but the density. 3 super tall towers standing within a few hundred feet of each other. Each one held a record at the time it opened. Pudong went from farmland to one of the most concentrated displays of vertical engineering on the planet in less than 30 years. Beyond the towers, Shanghai's ambition extends into infrastructure. The Yangshan Deepwater Port sits on a group of islands roughly 20 miles offshore. It is the largest container port in the world. Since 2010, it has ranked first globally in container throughput. More than 47 million containers pass through annually. Much of the operation is automated. Robotic cranes and AI-driven scheduling systems move containers with minimal human intervention. The port is connected to the mainland by the Donghai Bridge, which stretches roughly 20 miles across open water. Beijing holds more than 3,000 years of documented history. It is also one of the most actively developing capitals in the world. Modern architecture does not replace the past here. It stands directly alongside it, often in deliberate contrast. At the center lies the Forbidden City. Constructed in the early 15th century during the Ming Dynasty, the complex covers nearly 180 acres and contains close to 1,000 buildings. Everything is aligned along a strict north-south axis based on ancient cosmological principles. For centuries, this was the political and ceremonial heart of imperial China. It remains the most intact example of traditional palace architecture anywhere in the country. That historical core is now surrounded by some of the most unconventional modern structures in Asia. The CCTV headquarters, completed in 2012, rejects the traditional skyscraper entirely. Designed by OMA, the building forms a continuous loop. 2 leaning towers connected by a cantilevered section more than 250 feet above the ground. It is not just a television headquarters. It is a statement about what urban landmarks can look like when vertical towers are no longer the only option. Beijing made a similar statement in 2008 when it hosted the Summer Olympics. The National Stadium, known as the Bird's Nest, seats roughly 91,000 spectators. The exterior is wrapped in a lattice of exposed steel beams. The structure looks chaotic, but every beam was positioned to absorb seismic forces while eliminating the need for internal support columns. The result is a massive open interior with no obstructions. The city has also embraced fluid forms in its commercial districts. Wangjing Soho and Galaxy Soho, both designed by Zaha Hadid architects, abandoned straight lines entirely. The buildings consist of curved, asymmetrical towers that flow into one another. No sharp corners, no rigid edges. These projects mark a shift toward architecture that prioritizes organic movement over geometric order. The Three Gorges Dam is the largest hydroelectric power station on Earth by total output. It spans roughly 7,700 feet from bank to bank and rises about 600 feet above the riverbed. The structure is built primarily from concrete and steel. Its mass is measured in tens of millions of cubic yards. At its core is a power station equipped with 34 turbine generators. Each turbine is among the most powerful of its kind. Together, they produce an installed capacity of 22,500 megawatts. That makes it the largest power plant on Earth by total output. The electricity generated here supplies multiple provinces across central and eastern China. Beyond power generation, the dam serves a second critical function: flood control. The Yangtze has a history of catastrophic flooding that has killed hundreds of thousands over the centuries. The reservoir behind the dam regulates seasonal water surges, reducing the risk of downstream flooding significantly. During heavy rainfall, excess water is stored and released gradually. The dam also includes infrastructure for river navigation. Large cargo ships cannot simply sail over a 600-foot drop. To address this, engineers built a 5-stage lock system that allows vessels to move between water levels. The process takes several hours, but maintains continuous commercial traffic along the river. For smaller ships, there is a ship lift. This vertical elevator raises vessels more than 350 feet in a single operation, functioning like a massive floating platform. The project reshaped the geography of the region. The reservoir behind the dam stretches over 370 miles upstream. Entire towns were relocated, ecosystems were altered, but the infrastructure itself has operated continuously since full completion in 2012. Generating power and managing water flow on a scale unmatched anywhere else. China's high-speed rail network is the largest in the world by a considerable margin. The system exceeds 28,000 miles of dedicated track built specifically for trains operating at speeds above 200 miles per hour. What began as a handful of experimental lines in the early 2000s has become the primary method of intercity travel across the country. The scale of the stations reflects the volume of passengers. Many high-speed rail terminals rival international airports in size and complexity. Vast column-free halls with soaring roofs are standard features. These stations are designed to process tens of thousands of passengers per hour. The recently completed Chongqing East Railway Station is widely recognized as the largest rail station in the world by total floor area. The structure spans well over 10 million square feet, combining platforms, waiting areas, commercial zones, and transit connections into a single mega-terminal. The trains themselves operate on fully grade-separated corridors, no level crossings, no shared track with slower traffic. Routes pass through extensive tunneling and across long-span bridges to maintain consistent speeds. Journeys that once required overnight sleeper trains now take a few hours. Beijing to Shanghai, a distance of roughly 820 miles, is covered in under 5 hours on the fastest services. The network relies on centralized scheduling systems and standardized rolling stock. Delays are rare. Trains depart and arrive with precision measured in minutes. The result is a transportation system that has fundamentally reshaped how people move within China, making distance less of a barrier than it has ever been. Hong Kong has more skyscrapers than any other city on Earth. More than 9,000 buildings exceed 330 feet in height. The skyline forms a continuous wall of vertical density. Land scarcity forced the city to build upward decades before vertical living became a global trend. When Kai Tak Airport closed in 1998, it left behind a vast expanse of prime waterfront land. The old airport was considered one of the most dangerous in the world due to its location surrounded by high-rise buildings. Today, the area is being transformed into a new urban district with residential towers, sports facilities, and cruise terminals. What was once a constraint has become an opportunity for expansion. The replacement is Hong Kong International Airport, built entirely on reclaimed land off Lantau Island. It operates with 3 long runways capable of handling the largest aircraft in service. The airport consistently ranks among the busiest in the world by international passenger traffic. Efficiency is embedded into every aspect of its operation. The integrated transport connections allow passengers to move from aircraft to city center in under 30 minutes. From the airport, the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge stretches across the Pearl River Delta. It opened in 2018 and immediately became the longest sea crossing bridge and tunnel system in the world. The total length is approximately 34 miles. The structure consists of long viaduct bridges and a 4.2-mile underwater tunnel. Engineers submerged part of the roadway beneath the sea to allow uninterrupted maritime traffic. Massive tunnel sections were lowered into a dredged trench with millimeter-level precision. Hong Kong also maintains some of the oldest continuously operating urban transport in Asia. The double-decker trams have been running since 1904, making them among the oldest electric tram systems in the world. They operate along the northern shore of Hong Kong Island and remain a practical commuter option rather than a tourist novelty. Complementing them is the MTR metro system, where trains arrive with near-clockwork regularity. Together, these systems move millions of passengers daily with a level of efficiency that few cities match. Shenzhen went from a fishing village to a global technology capital in less than 50 years. The transformation is most visible in its skyline. At the center stands Ping An Finance Center, completed in 2017, almost 2,000 feet tall. 115 floors. It is the second tallest building in China and the fourth tallest in the world. Designed by Kohn Pedersen Fox, the tapering profile reduces wind pressure while maximizing usable floor space across every level. The city has also invested heavily in experimental public transport. The BYD Skyrail system represents that approach. Unlike conventional metros that require extensive underground tunneling, Skyrail is built above ground on slim viaducts. It uses rubber-tired monorail technology, which allows trains to handle tighter curves and steeper gradients than traditional steel wheel rail. This makes it particularly suited to dense urban environments like Shenzhen, where existing infrastructure leaves little room for straight alignments. The system is quieter than traditional rail and can be constructed faster and at lower cost. Shenzhen's administrative and cultural heart is the Civic Center. Its most recognizable feature is the striking horizontal roofline that references a bird in flight, a metaphor for the city's speed and forward motion. At night, the roof is illuminated with LED arrays that trace the building's silhouette, turning it into a sprawling beacon visible across the district. Further south in Nanshan District, the Galaxy World Towers rise as a pair of mixed-use super-tall structures. The design presents the towers as bamboo shoots, integrating them into a green urban valley that stretches toward the nearby mountains. The concept envisions a three-dimensional city in the sky, designed to accommodate nearly 30,000 people across offices, residences, and public spaces stacked vertically. Guangzhou has long served as China's gateway to the world. Once known to foreign traders as Canton, the city has maintained its role as a commercial and trading hub for centuries. Modern development here is not just visual, it is functional and integrated into daily urban life. The most recognizable structure is Canton Tower, 2,000 feet tall. At the time of completion, it was the tallest tower in China and remains one of the tallest in the world. The defining feature is its slender waist, creating a twisting hourglass silhouette that appears to defy structural logic. The twist is not decorative. It is engineered to manage wind forces at extreme height. At night, the tower's LED facade transforms it into a beacon visible across the entire city, with programmable lights capable of displaying artistic patterns and coordinated shows. Among Guangzhou's most unconventional landmarks is the Guangzhou Circle. Created by Italian architect Joseph Di Pasquale, the building forms a perfect ring, earning it the nickname the Golden Coin. The design references an ancient Chinese jade disc symbolizing prosperity and continuity. Visually, it aligns with the nearby Pearl River, framing the water within its circular void. The structure serves as headquarters for a major corporation, but has become a recognizable symbol of the city's willingness to embrace radical architectural ideas. In Macau, large-scale resort architecture dominates the Cotai Strip. These are not simply casinos, they are self-contained cities. The Venetian Macau replicates the famous Italian city, complete with canals and gondolas. Nearby, the Parisian features a half-scale replica of the Eiffel Tower. The Londoner includes copies of Big Ben and the Houses of Parliament. Among these themed landmarks, the Grand Lisboa stands apart. Completed in 2007, the tower's form is inspired by a lotus flower unfolding upward in a burst of reflective golden glass. At night, its LED-lit exterior becomes one of the most recognizable silhouettes in the Pearl River Delta. The western end of the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge leads directly into Zhuhai, a city that has transformed its coastal position into large-scale entertainment and cultural infrastructure. Chimelong Ocean Kingdom spreads across Hengqin Island as one of the largest marine theme parks in the world. Opened in 2014, the park spans hundreds of acres and is organized around massive purpose-built environments. The centerpiece attractions include some of the largest aquariums on Earth, holding tens of millions of gallons of seawater. The park's iconic whale shark aquarium uses enormous acrylic viewing panels engineered to withstand immense water pressure. Visitors walk through underwater tunnels surrounded by marine life on all sides, creating an immersive experience that few facilities anywhere can replicate. Beyond the aquariums, the park features themed zones with roller coasters, water rides, and live animal shows. Daily attendance during peak seasons can reach tens of thousands, making it one of the most visited attractions in southern China. Closer to the urban core, Zhuhai's cultural ambitions take architectural form in the Zhuhai Grand Theater. Completed in 2017, the complex sits on Yeli Island just offshore, connected to the mainland by a curving causeway. Its design features two asymmetrical shell-like volumes rising from the water, often compared to seashells or moons reflecting on the surface. The larger hall seats over 1,500 people and hosts opera, orchestral performances, and large-scale theatrical productions. The smaller theater supports experimental performances and chamber music. Both venues were designed with advanced acoustics, ensuring sound quality meets international standards for professional productions. The exterior is clad in reflective materials that change appearance depending on weather and time of day. At night, integrated lighting transforms the shells into glowing forms visible across the bay. The theater has become a landmark not just for its cultural programming, but for its visual impact on the waterfront. It represents Zhuhai's strategy of using iconic architecture to establish identity in a region crowded with competing cities. Zhuhai also invested in waterfront promenades and public parks that connect these cultural sites. The Lover's Road stretches for miles along the coastline, offering views of the South China Sea and nearby islands. The infrastructure blends leisure, tourism, and daily commuter needs into a continuous urban experience. For a city that was relatively unknown outside China 2 decades ago, Zhuhai has positioned itself as a destination through a combination of large-scale entertainment facilities and distinct architectural statements. Chongqing is one of the most extreme examples of vertical urbanism on the planet. The city is built across steep hills where the Yangtze and Jialing rivers meet. Street level is a relative concept here. Roads loop above one another on towering viaducts. Expressways dive into tunnels only to re-emerge several stories higher elsewhere. The metro system mirrors this complexity. Trains routinely pass through residential towers and emerge dozens of feet above ground on the other side. The city's relationship with verticality is not new. It is embedded in centuries of adaptation to mountainous terrain. But modern engineering has amplified what was once necessity into spectacle. Buildings do not sit on flat foundations. They anchor into slopes at multiple levels. What appears as the ground floor on one side of a structure might be the 10th floor on the other. Below the modern infrastructure, along the riverbanks, sits Hongya Cave. What was once a steep slope lined with traditional stilted houses has been transformed into a multi-level commercial complex. The structure rises 11 stories up the cliff face, with each level stacked directly above the next. At night, warm lighting outlines every tier, creating the illusion of a floating vertical village suspended above the water. It has become one of the most photographed sites in the city. At the western tip of the peninsula, where the two rivers converge, stands Kaohsiunmen, one of Chongqing's most ambitious architectural projects. Long a historic river port, the area has been reimagined as a dense cluster of super-tall towers. The development is crowned by a horizontal sky bridge-like structure that visually echoes the form of an ancient Chinese sailing vessel. The towers emphasize vertical lines and reflective surfaces, amplifying the sense of height while capturing the shifting light from the rivers below. In southwestern China, the landscape is defined by deep gorges and rivers that cut hundreds of feet below plateau level. Building modern road networks here required engineers to abandon conventional approaches. The solution was extreme elevation long-span bridges. The Huajiang Grand Canyon Bridge holds the current record. Crossing the Huajiang River in Guizhou Province, the bridge carries an expressway at a height exceeding 2,000 feet above the canyon floor. The deck is suspended by massive cables anchored into the surrounding mountains. For drivers, the experience is surreal. The roadway appears to float in mid-air, with nothing but empty space visible on either side. Before Huajiang, the benchmark was set by Beipanjiang Bridge. Spanning a gorge on the Guizhou-Yunnan border, its roadway sits approximately 1,850 feet above the river. When it opened, it was the highest bridge in the world by vertical clearance. It demonstrated that full-scale expressways could operate safely at extreme elevations, transforming what was once a slow, hazardous mountain crossing into a matter of seconds. Another engineering landmark is Aizhai Bridge in Hunan Province. Suspended roughly 1,150 feet above the canyon, it carries an expressway between tunnels drilled straight into opposing mountain faces. The bridge's steel box girder deck is supported by cables, while its approaches disappear almost immediately into mountainside portals. From below, the structure is barely visible. From above, it reads as a thin line connecting two tunnel entrances across a void. These bridges are not isolated projects. They are part of a larger national expressway network designed to connect remote provinces with major economic centers. What were once multi-day journeys over winding mountain roads are now completed in hours on elevated highways that bypass terrain entirely. Chengdu is known internationally for two things: giant pandas and rapid technological expansion. The combination is unusual, but reflects how quickly inland Chinese cities have modernized without losing their cultural identity. The New Century Global Center makes that scale impossible to ignore. Completed in 2013, it spans roughly 18 million square feet, making it the largest building in the world by floor area. Stretching nearly 1,650 feet in length, The structure was engineered to accommodate tens of thousands of people in a single climate-controlled megastructure. Inside are shopping malls, offices, hotels, an artificial beach, and an indoor water park. It functions less like a building and more like an enclosed district. The building is not just large. It is a statement about what is possible when construction operates at industrial scale without the constraints that limit the projects elsewhere. Planning, approval, and construction timelines that would span decades in other countries were compressed into years. Chengdu's modernization is equally visible in its financial district. The Tianfu International Financial Center features recently completed twin towers. Their glass facades are integrated with full building LED lighting systems, allowing the towers to function as illuminated markers. Lighting programs shift with citywide celebrations, transforming the financial district into a luminous nighttime skyline. Chengdu's relationship with water is preserved along the Jin River, where Anshun Bridge blends historical reference with contemporary design. While the site traces its origins back more than 1,000 years, the present structure integrates modern lighting and riverfront planning. At night, illuminated pavilions and reflections on the water turn the bridge into a visual focal point. But Chengdu's global identity remains tied to conservation. The Chengdu Research Base of giant panda breeding is one of the world's most important centers for the species. Established in the late 1980s, it has played a key role in increasing panda populations worldwide. The facility contributed significantly to the species removal from the endangered category. Today, it houses dozens of pandas in environments designed to replicate natural habitats while allowing controlled breeding programs and scientific research to continue. Hangzhou sits at the southern end of the Grand Canal, a position that made it a commercial center for over 1,000 years. Modern infrastructure has amplified that role without erasing the historical context. The Hangzhou Bay Bridge connects the industrial and financial hubs of Shanghai and Ningbo. Spanning approximately 22 miles, it was one of the longest transoceanic bridges in the world when it opened in 2008. Before its completion, trips that now take just over an hour could require more than 4 hours by traditional roads and ferries. Engineers employed deep pile foundations and aerodynamic design to ensure stability in open water and resistance to typhoon force winds. Every span was optimized to withstand not only natural forces, but also the immense weight of continuous heavy traffic. Along the Qiantang River, the Olympic Sports Expo Center anchors Hangzhou's contemporary skyline. Completed for the 2022 Asian Games, the complex includes stadiums, arenas, and exhibition halls designed at metropolitan scale. Its centerpiece, the main stadium, is often compared to a blooming lotus and seats approximately 80,000 spectators. Rising nearby is the Greenland Hangzhou Center, the tallest building in the city. Standing at almost 1,000 feet, the Twin Towers are a key component of a recently developed mixed-use area. The iconic wing-shaped form is derived from the first letter of Hangzhou in pinyin, symbolizing the city's harmony and beauty. Suzhou has existed between two worlds for centuries. It was once defined by water, a dense lattice of canals that earned it the nickname Venice of the East. Today, it stands at the edge of one of China's most advanced economic corridors, with some of the country's most ambitious contemporary architecture. Dominating the modern skyline is the Gate of the Orient. Completed in 2016, rising about 990 feet, the structure forms a monumental arch. Two towers joined at the top, framing the lake and the city beyond. The design was intended as a symbolic entrance to the new central business district. Nearby, the Suzhou International Finance Square rises approximately 1,500 feet. Completed in the early 2020s, its sleek tapering form reflects the region's shift toward high-value development. Nanjing and Wuhan both operate as major inland cities that anchor regional economies. Both have invested heavily in infrastructure that reflects national ambitions rather than purely local needs. The Nanjing pedestrian bridge stretches across the Yangtze River in Hexi Newtown. Completed in 2014, it spans roughly 2,700 feet, making it one of the longest pedestrian bridges in the region. Its defining feature is a pair of enormous oval steel rings that rise above the deck, supporting the bridge through inclined cables. The design emphasizes motion and lightness, allowing pedestrians to feel suspended above the water. At night, LED lighting transforms the rings into glowing circles visible from across the river. Dominating Nanjing's skyline is Zifeng Tower. Rising approximately 1,500 feet with 89 floors, it remains the tallest building in the city and the entire Jiangsu province. At night, carefully controlled lighting highlights the tower's geometry, ensuring it remains a visual anchor after dark. Nearby, the Hexi Twin Towers form part of the Nanjing International Youth Cultural Center. The design draws inspiration from Yunjin silk weaving, with continuous linear bands flowing across facades, creating a sense of movement as if the buildings were pulled upward from the river itself. In Wuhan, development centers on technology and commerce. Optics Valley Square sits atop one of the city's busiest metro interchanges and functions as a multi-level urban node. At night, programmable lighting projected on large-format LED screens and illuminated facades turn the area into a digital cityscape. Surrounding the square are hundreds of research institutes and technology firms working in optics, AI development, and advanced manufacturing. Wuhan's role in national history is preserved at the 1911 Revolution Museum, dedicated to the Wuchang Uprising that ignited the fall of the Qing dynasty. The building features a dynamic contemporary design with tilted forms and sweeping roofs that symbolize the revolution's upheaval. A red and black palette references struggle and the birth of a new republic, while the folded textured facade alludes to ancient architecture. Across China, architects have pushed beyond conventional tower design towards structures that challenge expectations of what buildings can look like. These projects are not merely tall, they are experiments in form, material, and urban integration. In Hong Kong, density reaches an extreme that most cities never approach. The Yikqiang Building, better known as the Monster Building, is one of the most striking expressions of this compression. Constructed in the 1960s as a mixed-use residential complex, it consists of 5 interconnected blocks forming a tight internal courtyard. Apartments are compact, balconies are narrow, and windows face each other across minimal distance. The structure houses thousands of residents in a space that feels more vertical than horizontal. It has become one of the most photographed locations in the city, not because it is beautiful in a traditional sense, but because it represents an unfiltered view of high-density urban living. From the courtyard looking up, the building creates a canyon of concrete and windows that seems to close in from all sides. In Nanjing, the Zendai Himalaya Center takes a radically different approach. Designed by mad architects, the complex rejects rigid verticality in favor of flowing mountain-like forms. Buildings appear sculpted rather than assembled, wrapped in white louvers that cascade like frozen waterfalls. The design prioritizes curves over straight lines, creating a visual softness that contrasts sharply with the surrounding towers. The effect is intentional. The architects sought to integrate natural forms into a dense urban environment, turning architecture into landscape. In Sanya, on the southern coast, the beauty-crowned Grand Tree Hotel embraces organic geometry at an almost surreal scale. The project consists of 9 primary high-rise towers, each shaped like a colossal abstract tree. Floors are stacked in repetitive horizontal plates, producing stepped terraces that wrap around the buildings like growth rings. The form is unlike anything else in the region. From a distance, the towers resemble giant sculptures more than functional hotels. Yet they operate as fully functional accommodations, with rooms, restaurants, and amenities distributed across the vertical structure. Back in Shanghai, the 1,000 Trees project replaces a former industrial site with terraced concrete columns planted with hundreds of trees. Offices, retail spaces, and public areas are embedded within a structure that looks like a constructed hillside. The project was designed to blur the line between architecture and nature, creating a green vertical landscape in the middle of a dense urban district. Trees grow from planters integrated into the building's stepped form, visible from multiple angles across the city. It represents an approach to urban development that prioritizes vegetation not as decoration, but as a structural element of the design itself. These projects do not follow a single architectural philosophy. They represent different responses to the same question. What happens when architects are given the freedom and resources to build ideas that would be considered too risky or unconventional elsewhere? China has turned natural extremes into infrastructure designed for mass tourism. In environments where most countries would limit access, China builds at scale. In the mountains of northwestern Hunan, sheer quartz sandstone pillars rise like stone forests. Zhangjiajie Glass Bridge was the longest and highest glass-bottom bridge in the world at the time of opening. Stretching 1,400 feet between cliff faces and hanging about 980 feet above the valley floor. The bridge deck is made of thick, laminated glass panels supported by steel cables and trusses. The transparent floor removes any visual buffer between visitors and the void below, turning fear into part of the experience. The Beilong elevator offers a different kind of confrontation with scale. Anchored directly into a vertical cliff face inside Zhangjiajie National Forest Park, it is the tallest outdoor elevator in the world. The system rises roughly 1,000 feet in just over a minute, transporting visitors from the valley floor to the top of the sandstone pillars. The elevator consists of 3 double-deck glass cabins, allowing passengers to watch the rock wall rush past as they ascend. Unlike many Chinese cities that look south or east, Harbin has always faced north. Oriented towards Siberia and its extreme climate, winters here are not incidental, they are defining. Temperatures routinely fall well below freezing and the Songhua River locks into ice. Rather than resist these conditions, Harbin turned them into spectacle. Since 1985, the International Ice and Snow Festival has transformed the city each winter into one of the most surreal urban environments on Earth. Massive structures carved from ice blocks, cut directly from the frozen river, rise across hundreds of acres. Entire palaces, cathedrals, towers, and cityscapes are built and illuminated at night with programmable LED lighting embedded within the ice itself. Some cities express ambition through towers, others through infrastructure that blends function with spectacle. Positioned on the Haihei River, Tianjin built the Tianjin Eye, a 400-foot-tall Ferris wheel constructed directly above the Yongle Bridge. It is one of the few Ferris wheels in the world built on a bridge rather than on solid ground. Each of the 48 fully enclosed capsules carries visitors over the river, providing panoramic views of the city's skyline. At night, the wheel transforms into a glowing beacon, its LEDs choreographed to create patterns of color and movement visible across the district. Beyond the city limits, Tianjin has embraced renewable energy. Expansive photovoltaic farms stretch across reclaimed industrial land and agricultural edges. These fields produce thousands of megawatt-hours annually, supplying both industrial zones and reducing the city's carbon footprint. Many installations incorporate bifacial panels capable of capturing reflected light from the ground and are monitored with AI-driven systems that optimize output. Changsha's Meixi Lake New City represents one of the most ambitious examples of contemporary urban planning in central China. Built around an artificial lake covering roughly 3.2 square miles, the area is a carefully orchestrated urban composition. Curving waterfront promenades, pedestrian bridges, and layered public terraces soften the scale of surrounding high-rises. Signature buildings include the International Culture and Arts Center, whose flowing organic forms appear carved by wind and water. At the center of the district are large-scale dancing fountains, among the most technologically advanced in China. Stretching across hundreds of feet of the lake's edge, the fountain system integrates high-pressure water jets with synchronized LED lighting and music. On the southern coast in tropical Sanya, architecture takes on a maritime character. Rising from the artificial Phoenix Island are tall curved towers whose profiles deliberately echo the forms of cruise ships. The facades sweep upward in smooth arcs, with horizontal balcony lines reinforcing the nautical metaphor. In Gansu Province, near the city of Jiuquan, the Gobi Desert has been transformed into one of the largest concentrations of solar power infrastructure on Earth. The Jiuquan Solar Power Base is part of China's national strategy to shift large-scale energy production away from coal. The choice of location was deliberate. This region receives more than 3,000 hours of sunshine per year, making it one of the most suitable areas for solar generation in the country. The scale is overwhelming. Thousands upon thousands of photovoltaic panels are arranged in precise geometric grids. From the air, the installations resemble dark, reflective seas laid across pale desert terrain. Individual solar parks cover many square miles, and together, the Jiuquan base represents tens of gigawatts of planned capacity. Power is collected through dense networks of inverters and substations, then transmitted via ultra-high voltage lines. This long-distance transmission is essential. Turning remote desert sunlight into usable energy for industrial centers far from Gansu's borders. The infrastructure required to move electricity across such distances is as significant as the solar farms themselves. Without it, the energy generated would remain stranded in one of the least populated regions of the country. Projects like Jiuquan reflect a broader pattern. China does not build incrementally. It builds at full scale from the beginning. The approach carries risks, but it also produces results that are difficult to achieve through gradual expansion. China's story does not pause at the moment this journey ends. It accelerates. The landscapes, skylines, and records seen here are not fixed achievements, but temporary markers. By the time this is watched again, some of these facts may already be outdated. New bridges will have surpassed previous records. Skyscrapers will have risen higher. Rail lines will have extended deeper into mountains and deserts. What feels futuristic today becomes ordinary tomorrow. To look at China is to watch construction happening faster than documentation can keep up. Not a distant conceptual future, but one tested at full scale and inhabited immediately. In a world often constrained by planning cycles and regulatory delays, China operates in fast forward.